Welcome to Soul Searching Space, a space to remember who you truly are, who you came here to be, and what you came here to do. To be crystal clear, going from black and white thinking to full color HD, working from the inside out, reclaiming your power, waking up to your inherent wholeness, aligning soul, heart, mind, and body. Hello, and thank you for tuning in. We are continuing the conversations of working from the inside out. If you haven't tuned into the previous episodes in this series, I invite you to listen as it builds on top of each other. We are in constant communication with the world around us, as well as the world within us to different degrees. In the 1890s, a scientist named Pavlov strapped a few dogs to a table and rang the bell and then fed the dogs a meal. Over time, after repeatedly exposing the dogs to the same stimulus, he simply rang the bell and the dogs automatically salivated in anticipation. This is the conditioned response, and the response occurs automatically. We may have become addicted to certain environments, certain associations, and certain identifications. Instead of being addicted, it becomes normal, it's familiar, it's safe. I invite you to look at your environment and notice the things that you associate with that trigger certain beliefs, behaviors, habits, patterns, perceptions, skills, and more within you. Which environments trigger certain behaviors within you? What associations have you learned through different interactions between your inner world and your outer world? What in your outer world makes you approach certain things? What in your outer world makes you withdraw from certain things? What in your inner world makes you approach certain things in your external world? What in your inner world makes you withdraw from certain things in your outer world? What are the positive and negative identifications and associations that created certain habits, behaviors, beliefs, perceptions, skills? Which external things do you associate with the internal feelings and emotions? What are your internal triggers? Maybe an internal trigger could be you opening up social media to quote unquote connect with others because maybe you feel alone. What causes you to shift your focus to the external environment? You may have internal triggers that are causing your mind to seek out distractions and impairing your ability to stay focused and productive. If you want to focus, how can you identify these triggers and rewire your inner programming so you essentially become immune to distractions? Which one experience of a particular person or thing at a specific time and place from the past causes you to respond in familiar patterns? What in your environment sets off an emotional response? Does your environment influence your habits, behaviors? Have you become obsessed with material things? Are you addicted to your environment? Are you victimized by your circumstances? What below the surface of your awareness is in control of how you feel? Are you thinking and reacting equal to your environment? Are you relying on the outside to make you happy? Are you relying on your environment to distract you from suffering, guilt, shame, and more? Do you make sure your buried feelings stay buried by diving further into your external world? Do you acquire things to compensate, to mask how you truly feel? What is in your outer environment that easily distracts you from unwanted feelings in your inner environment? What in your outer environment distracts you from who you really are? What external thing takes your internal feelings away? What have you become dependent on in your outer world to change your inner world? If something in your outer world changed how you felt internally, are you relying on whatever it was outside that made you feel better on the inside? What are you unconsciously looking for to be solved from the outside in instead of from the inside out? Are you relying on the outer world to change your inner world? Can you let go of the external and go inwards? The ego needs the environment to remind itself of who it is. Is your identity defined by everything outside of you? What in your environment reinforces who you think you are? What is reaffirming your identity in your environment? What do you hold on to that reinforces who you think you are? How would you know who you are if it weren't for your environment? What feeling have you been devoted to feeling that is triggered by your environment? Which certain environments has become normal and familiar to you? What in your environment, in your external world, are you attached to in order to remind you of how you want to be perceived by the world? is your identity attached to the environment? Who do you think you are in relation to everything around you? Do you know who you are if it wasn't for the feedback of your outer reality? Are you addicted to the feedback from your environment? Who are you when there is nothing in your environment to remind you of who you think you are? If you had to leave all the stuff behind, who are you? Do you see your environment as an aspect of your identity? Are you attached to it? Where do you associate your outer familiar world with who you think you are by remembering yourself in this familiar reality? What is your familiar reality? How is your environment influencing your mind? Where has your mind and your life merged as one? Where does the two realities of the inner world and the outer world seem to become inseparable? Are you aware of your inner world as well as your outer world? What is your association with different environments? Your home, your workplace, other people's homes, nature, shopping malls. What is known and what is familiar? What is unknown and unfamiliar? Where in your life have you removed yourself from certain environments only to find that the same patterns happen elsewhere as well? Which perceptions, behaviors, attitudes, emotions, and more are activated by certain environments? How are you recreating the same neural connections when you respond to familiar environments? Do you wake up and automatically jump into the same old set of unconscious actions because your environment is familiar and known to you? Do you wake up every morning and feel like the same person? As you see the same people every day, your partner, family, co-workers, and more, do you automatically create the same familiar thoughts about them? What causes you to think the same thoughts about the people and your work and your life? How can you choose to see them in a new light? As you go to the same places every day, do you automatically create the same familiar thoughts about these places? How can you experience them in a new light? Is your brain equal to your environment and therefore you plug into the same reality and initiate the same stream of consciousness? Do you keep thinking the same thoughts, which is a reflection of the environment, and therefore continue to manifest the same reality day after day? Do your internal thoughts and feelings match your external life that is influencing how you are thinking and feeling in your inner reality? How is your environment controlled by your thinking? Where has your thinking become equal to the conditions in your life? Where in your life is your brain reaffirming the outer world as the only reality? Which internal filters are placed over the lens of how you view your external world? Where in your life are you able to have dual awareness of your inner world and your outer world? What makes up your internal environment? What makes up your external environment? How can you be greater than your present circumstances, greater than your environment? How can you create a different internal environment which will eventually create a different external environment for you? How can you use your external environment to support you with your internal environment? How can you experience a new inner environment which will be reflected in your outer environment? How can you change from the inside out instead of the outside in? Where are you using the outer world to change your inner world? Where are you using the inner world to change your outer world? Which inner environment do you want to make unfamiliar? Which inner environment do you want to make familiar? Can you embody who you truly are independent of conditions in your environment? Did something resonate with you? Who are you going to be and what are you going to do about it? Thank you for being here with me. Thank you for your time and thank you for your presence. I look forward to being with you again. I am sending you so much love, and until next time, may you remember that we may not be able to control all the conditions in our external environment, but we can control our internal environment.